It was the 2nd of April. The 4th of April. 2nd of April. 2nd of April. So yeah, this is quite a heavy one.
This is a heavy one.
But it's gotta be done. It's gotta be done. So are we rolling, George?
Yeah. We're in.
Right.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Hello everyone.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
I know how you're feeling about this one because this is a slightly heavier one than the previous two.
This is going to be a hard one to talk about. This got some difficult conversations.
Yeah, there's one particular topic which is probably
the most hushed conversation you could have.
Yeah, which still blows my fucking mind that people avoid it, or if they have been through it. I understand why people don't want to talk about it because it's a very fucking difficult thing to talk about if you've been through it. But if you've been through it, but anyway, we'll get onto that in a minute. But we rounded up last episode with me talking about a lot of the things that I went through in terms of the operation, the operation that I had. Mm-hmm. So I had the operation. And it was it was like right at the end of year 2, right at the very end of year 2. Might have just bleed into year 3 actually. On my balls. So I had my varicocele taken out, trying to add
poor balls.
Trying to make light of the conversation a little bit more, the topic. Sorry. So I had.
If you don't laugh,
exactly. When
we cry a lot.
Did a lot of crying. So I had my operation, and then after that, went back to see Jonathan Ramsey, the doctor who was looking after us at the time, and he said, okay, so the results are this, but the results will be this, hopefully in the next 3 or 4 months. The optimal time to try for a baby is 7 to 8 months after the operation, which landed around September, October that year.
Yep.
So we were told that. We discussed that last time. So we booked that in.
We did. We
booked our first round of IVF.
Well, the clinic that I had that high cozy test with, the flushing of the tubes, we didn't end up going with that clinic because I remember we had a Zoom call with the doctor,
I forgot about this.
And I did not like him. It was cold. I felt like a number.
Yeah.
I was like, absolutely not. Like this is such a personal thing, and this is a huge piece of our journey, and I don't like him at all. So I was like, right, finding another clinic. I won't name the clinic because we didn't have a great experience with them.
Do it. No, don't.
No.
Do it.
No. We didn't have a good experience with them. I suppose actually if anybody did want to know which clinic it was, maybe you could always message.
I'm happy for people to DM us.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've got any questions and things like that.
If you're part of the Illuma community as well, you can always just dive in and DM either of us. We'll always get back to you.
Absolutely. But so we started the process because doing IVF is not right. Okay, so we've decided we're going to do it, and this is when we're doing it. There's so much that you have to do before you even start the drugs and everything like that. There's a lot of their own investigations that they have to do. More tests, more blood tests, more semen analysis. And that, is something that started quite a bit before September, which is when it all kind of kicked off. But that year, they say give yourself 3 months to prepare for IVF. Again, rubbish. I think you need so much longer.
Yeah, me too.
So much longer. Like, I can't remember the exact amount, but I think the cycle of an egg or a sperm, I think it might be slightly different. I'm sure it's like which is why they say 3 months.
It is 3 months.
You've got 3 months to kind of improve your diet, improve your lifestyle, stop smoking, stop drinking, stop taking drugs, stop vaping, whatever those things are that you're doing, to sort of have a fresh batch. But I do think you should start earlier. I think things can hang around. And if you've got, which turned out we both did, have quite a lot of inflammation in your body, turns out I needed to be gluten-free as well, which I didn't find out till much later.
After 2 cycles of IVF.
Yeah, we'll go into that later. Think, was it July? We had a festival.
Yeah, it was July that year.
Oh, secret garden party for anybody who's been, I went about 4 times before the last one, which is where we got engaged.
2017, that was.
Like the best festival experience
Incredible.
ever.
So
then it stopped for whatever reason. And then they brought it back. And we were like, well, obviously we're going to go. Loads of our friends went and we hit it hard.
Every single one of our friends went, and we didn't just hit it hard.
We did. And considering we'd not been really doing anything like that, just kind of thought, oh, one last hurrah. It was a terrible idea, drinking, smoking, doing all the things that you shouldn't be doing. And then we were like, right, now we're going completely sober. We went to a few weddings sober. We went to our first trip to Ibiza sober.
And we went to a wedding abroad sober. We did a lot. It wasn't hard, but we thought that this 3 months between...
would be enough.
Secret garden party, which we caned it for 3 days, to our cycle of IVF would have been fine.
Yeah.
Now we can't sit here, by the way, Eleanor. Let's just not
and
pretend.
say that was the reason.
No, we can't.
No, we can't.
We can assume, but we just think that surely 3 months isn't enough to completely eradicate your body and get yourself in the most optimal position to put yourself through what we went through.
You're about to go through.
Which you can now go through and discuss what that journey of IVF is.
Yeah.
Neither of us knew what was ahead.
No.
We knew that IVF was a way that doctors can help you get pregnant, but I didn't actually know what was involved, the process. Again, I'm not going to jump ahead, but the whole process is so intense.
And I think it's really important to say, because I think a lot of people, why would you know about it unless you needed to go through it? But, IVF is not a given. It is not a magic tablet to give you a successful pregnancy, and it is not. It absolutely is not. Like, there's so many other factors that have to be taken into account for you to be able to have a successful round of IVF. It is not the answer to everything, and it isn't.
No.
It's a wonderful, incredible thing. It's why we are where we are today. But it isn't the answer to everything, as we found out. So I think we started our round of our first round with the medication that I was on. Oh God, don't ask me the names because I don't remember all of those.
Well, let's go through. Let's walk it through. So before we actually do any of the egg collection and the sperm collection and stuff, how far before do you actually start doing the medication for people who don't know what IVF is?
So basically, you start your first day of your period, or your cycle, whatever you want to call it. That's when you call the clinic and you say, right, I've started my period, and then they will have you come into the clinic, and that's when you have your first internal scan. You get very up close and personal with the what do you want to call it? Or the wand? I can't remember. I gave it a name. I can't remember what I called it. Because, there's a lot of that.
You get like a scan at that point.
It's an internal scan to basically check the lining of your womb and see where you are, basically. And then that is when you start your injections. And depending on what your test results were, and just it's very individual. Well, you like to think it is. I don't think with the clinic that we first were with, it wasn't as tailored as it should have been. It's called a protocol, what you're put on. And depending on if you're a long or a short, I was on the short protocol. So I think it was about 12 days of injections, which, oh God, I was so nervous doing that first one. My God. And a lot of people, have asked me over the years, oh my God, did you do it? Or did Jackie do it for you? I was like, there's no way I was letting you do it. No offense. I've not been in control of any of this journey. Yeah. That is one thing I can control. And once I'd done the first one, I was fine.
Yeah.
And it really, really wasn't that bad. As in the actual doing the injections, you get very used to it. But you definitely become a little bit unhinged during IVF.
Well, I'm not surprised. You were literally putting hormones in your body every day, 2 or 3 times a day.
3 injections a day.
Yeah.
Also, these lovely things called progesterone pessaries.
You love them, really, shut up.
Oh, no, it's disgusting. I actually don't think I can't remember, but I don't think you start taking them straight away. I think that's a little bit maybe later on, maybe just before your transfer. Anyway. And then when you've done your 12, like throughout these 12...
Well, explain what the pessaries are.
I will.
Go on. Don't just skip past that bit.
Progesterone pessaries are these little waxy like bullets, which you can either put up your vagina or you can do it anally, whichever you're more comfortable with.
You like to alternate, didn't you, Dan?
I did like to alternate. It's a messy job. It's not nice. It's just not nice. Either way is not pleasant.
You wouldn't even let me help you with that job either.
No, definitely not. So, but during these 12 days of, they call it stims, it's like stimulation, I guess. You're going for regular internal scans to check your follicles on your ovaries, to check how they're growing. But when you're naturally going through a cycle as a woman, you only ovulate 1 egg. And when you're going through IVF, the drugs that you're on are stimulating all of your follicles, so you can basically have multiple eggs for them to collect. And while you're going through this process, you're at risk of something. It's called OHSS, ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome. Sure. And if you get that, it's incredibly dangerous because you get so swollen, you can end up in hospital very, very. I did have a friend who ended up in hospital very, very ill. So it's so important to remain hydrated, not do too much. Like, you've just got to be careful. So I was going through having my scans, and to be honest, nothing much was going on. So I remember the doctor upping the dose to try and get those follicles going. And I just remember being really deflated because they just weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. And they basically said, we think you're only going to get 4 eggs. And that was, I was like, what? 4 eggs? Like, that really doesn't give me much of a chance. I was very deflated. So just the whole process of that, like, I just don't think was handled correctly. Like, I wasn't on the right amount of drugs to get me stimulated.
Yeah, to get the right amount of
to get the follicles going.
It's a very invasive thing to do, to have to come out with low eggs. Now, for that first episode, I talked about that lady who was sat next to me in Soho House.
Yeah,
she did 2 rounds of egg retrieval just because she was on her own. She wouldn't have freeze her eggs. She didn't get any eggs.
No, and some
people don't get any eggs.
This is why this journey is such a head fuck, because
head fuck.
You can go through all of the stages of the journey and then end up with nothing.
Yeah. That's all I was trying. Sorry, coming back to
absolutely soul destroying. So you also feel like a bit mental. Was I working? Yeah, I was working at that. Was I working at the time? I can't remember if I'd gone self-employed at that time.
I think you were self-employed. You were working, but you were a bit more flexible.
Yeah, I was. Which was helpful because, you have to take quite a bit of time off to do this. And then, done all the drugs. They were right, we've got a date for your egg collection. But before that, you have something called a trigger injection, which basically forces your body to... I'm sure it's pausing the release of the eggs, or it does something to get the eggs ready.
In the next so many hours.
It's very specific. 36 hours you need to have the surgery, because otherwise your body releases the eggs and then they're no use to anyone because they're not there. So you get ready. We went up to London for the surgery. So, you're called, you go into your little booth, get into your gown, and go in for your anaesthetic, which is...
General.
General. Obviously, I don't mind it. It's quite nice going to sleep, but it's still, it's scary, and I just remember, I really vividly remember lying in the recovery room with this like oxygen mask on me, I just remember hearing your voice and asking how many, because they know how many eggs straight away. And we got 9 eggs, didn't we? Our first go.
Yeah, 9.
And after being told it was just going to be 4,
It was a massive surprise.
I was like 9. I was absolutely over the moon.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the best news ever. Yeah. So, you kind of coming round from that. They have to wait for you to have a drink and a snack and stuff, and then send you on your way. And then you're recovering from the egg collection, because they've literally gone in through a catheter up your vagina with a very thin, it's a needle, because they've got to penetrate each follicle and suck the egg out.
Very clever.
Very clever, very painful.
Very painful.
So it wasn't like the worst pain ever. I mean, I've had my tonsils out, I've had my wisdom teeth out. That was more painful, but it was very uncomfortable. You are sort of on the sofa for a good few days. And then, but those next few days, oh my God, waiting to find out. Sorry, I've missed out a little bit. While I was having my surgery, you had to go and do your very important job, didn't you?
I was doing the hardest
job
of the whole process. I mean, you're making this sound really dramatic, but it wasn't. I mean, my part was probably the most difficult. I had to go into a room and generate a sample of my sperm, and it was tough.
Generate.
Yeah,
I know. It just sounds so clinical.
Yeah, well, it is. It's clinical.
But it's very, you're on the spot in this little room with other people.
It was horrendous.
No, it doesn't sound fun.
It was horrendous, and I felt humiliated inside. Babe, it was fucking sound.
I was feeling really sorry for you then.
Well, I kind of feel sorry for myself when you're in you're in a gown under general anaesthetic, and I'm just in the room going
having a wank.
Yeah, just
basically.
having a wank. Yeah, it's not that bad.
Did you not feel under pressure?
Of course I did, because I was like, if I don't do this, I'm a dickhead.
You've ruined it.
I've ruined everything, and it's still gonna come out of your bank account.
I bet you that happens though.
100%.
I bet you that.
I bet you 100%. There was definitely a different type of pressure, but babe, I'm not going to sit here and whinge about having to have a wank in a room with a locked door.
No.
When you were next door in bits, insides felt like they were scratched out, which you'll probably come on to.
Yeah.
And I remember you coming out of that sleep. You were talking about like
you filmed it, didn't you?
What?
You filmed it.
I filmed you coming out. You were like, how many? What's happened? Did we do it?
Did they
delirious.
find any?
Did they find any? Yeah. Did they find any? And then I think I told you there were 9.
That's a really emotional video to watch, actually. Because
and then as I said, there was 9, and you would just started crying, but you were still in and out of anaesthesia, like. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Once
I did my bit.
You did your bit, and once the eggs are collected, the first thing they go and do is. We had something called ICSI, which is where, again, incredible. They're able to select the best sperm from the sample. And then my egg will be in a Petri dish, and they'll literally inject the sperm into the egg rather than just leaving them together for the sperm and the egg to do their thing.
Which is normal IVF.
It is, but we knew we needed a bit of extra help. They literally inject the sperm into the egg.
Yeah.
And then, what they do, well, I think before that, they have to wait to see how many eggs are mature. And I think out of those 9, was it 7 were mature?
Yeah.
And then you have to wait 2 days to see how many fertilised and stayed fertilised. 4 fertilised. And then you really ideally want it to get to day 5, because then this is going to get a bit, I don't want to get too technical because I don't want to say it wrong, but you really want the embryo to get to a blastocyst stage, which
means a certain amount of
cells. Certain amount of division of cells, and it starts hatching basically, and then it's perfect to be plucked and popped into the lady's womb. So we got to day 5. I mean, honestly, those few days
torture.
We were just at home waiting for this call.
Yeah.
And the phone would go, and it'd be like,
yeah,
what's happening to our little babies in the lab up in London? Anyway, we had
2.
2. Yes, sorry. We had 2. So one was obviously going to go into me when I was ready to have my transfer, and the other one was going to be frozen. So we were over the moon because it only takes that one, doesn't it? So absolutely buzzing with all of this news. How long was the wait before the transfer? Was it maybe like they give you a date? Maybe was it like 5 days?
I can't remember what it was. It was day 5.
No, sorry, for the transfer. Once we knew that we were ready to go, maybe even a day or so after that.
No, it was
because I hadn't had loads of I hadn't suffered from OHSS, so I was good to go. So we went up to London again. Now this bit was easy, really, wasn't it? It was basically lie back. You sort of, again, like when you're having a smear, they sort of open you up. In goes the catheter, and then the door behind you opens, and it's the lady from the lab, the embryologist, and they've got your precious embryo
in this like little tube
in a catheter and a tube, and they're literally walking it gently over to the doctor, and you're just like, oh my God, please don't drop it. Like, obviously they're not going to, but... And then that is attached to your catheter. And then you can see on the screen, you can see it's got a screen like this. You can watch your precious embryo travelling down the catheter into your uterus. And there it is. It's there.
You get a picture.
You get a picture.
And
then away you go. You go home and you're like, I was literally like, oh, can I go for a wee? Is this okay? Is it going to fall out? And the best analogy, and I do love it, it's like, everything will be fine. It's like, imagine a pearl in a peanut butter sandwich. It's not going anywhere. It's fine. You're fine. You're good. Now, there is a myth. It's such a shit myth. But, you know, I did it because I was like, I'm not taking any chances. I'm doing it. There's a big myth that if you have something salty afterwards, it helps with the implantation, and it's something that girls who have IVF do, which is go to McDonald's and get the fries. So I was like, we're going to McDonald's, we're getting the fries. I don't eat McDonald's, but I was like, I'm doing it because everyone does it, so I'm obviously going to do it. I don't want to look back and be like, oh, I didn't do it. So we went and did that, drove home, and then you wait, and it's 12 days of waiting, like a normal 2-week wait, as if you were, you know, trying naturally. And that 2-week wait was one of the longest, most painful, difficult, torturous waits of my entire life. We actually went away for a few days, didn't we? We went to the Cotswolds just to try just to stop ourselves from going, you okay over there?
I've got a really tickly cough, and I'm conscious because you're in the middle of this story.
Yeah, I know, you're ruining it.
I want to do one big cough. I think I'm going to be all right now.
To have another drink.
It's not helping.
Okay.
Please continue. So we're onto the.
We went
12-day wait.
We went away to the Cotswolds, and you know they were very. You know, they really said, like, try not to test early because you can just disappoint yourself. You need to wait until at least 12 days after a transfer because you have something called HCG running through your system.
From the trigger injection.
Yeah, from the trigger injection. And you don't want that to give you a false positive because that is like devastating in itself. You need to wait. So we did our trip, and there were some changes, weren't there? Like I started going to the loo more in the night.
You were feeling this tap,
I could feel like, this like...
Tap, tap, tap. You kept saying, this is tap, tap. I was like, what do you mean? You're like...
Something
felt... Is it in your head? You're like, no, there's a tap, tap, tap.
Something felt different. Yeah. And I'm guessing it's women's intuition, but I just knew. Like, I was worried about being too hopeful because I was like, what, first time, really? But when we did get... You know, when the day came finally to do our official test day, and I'll never forget it. We were in our kitchen, and we did that test.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And we got our first ever. Bearing in mind, at that point, we'd been trying for over 3 years.
Over 3
years, and that was our first ever. Don't ruin it.
No, I was gone. Go on.
Thought you were going to cough.
No.
Positive pregnancy test.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And if I could bottle that feeling, like I couldn't believe, just like complete disbelief that it had happened first time, like over the moon, just like in shock, really. Obviously told our family had been with us and our close friends, they knew the journey we were going on. We wanted people to be there with us for this journey, obviously told our parents straight away, like, you know, everybody was just so happy for us. And, you know, you can't help but get overexcited and start thinking of the future, and all of those amazing things that come with those first initial bits of excitement. And then how long was it after? Obviously that, a good week or so went by. You know, I got flowers and we got a few cards, and, you know, because that whole process is like, it's long. You've like started it a lot earlier than you would do if you were just trying naturally. And again, that intuition, I just remember waking up, I went down to the kitchen and I felt different. I felt empty inside and I felt different. I knew something was wrong. And I knew that we had a test in the cupboard. And you were upstairs. Were you in bed? Spare room. You were in the bed watching telly. I don't know. And I remember doing the test and I was so nervous because I just knew, I just felt different. And it was one of those digital ones. And it said, it flashed not pregnant. And my stomach I just lost it. I just remember running upstairs, absolutely hysterical, to you. I was like, something's wrong. I've done another test and it says I'm not pregnant. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, something's happened. And you were obviously just trying to keep me calm. You were like, right, we're going to call the clinic. Like, we're going to just tell them what's going on. And they were like, right, we want you to come in and we're going to do I think they were going to do a different kind of test.
A urine and a blood test.
A urine and a blood test. And we went, oh God, I remember just being stuck in traffic on the Hog's Back, just like, fuck's sake, I just want to get there. Like, I was absolutely hysterical. Like, you know, when you're just that sobbing, like you feel sick, you're crying so much. And having that, went for this test with our lovely doctor, Helen. No, sorry, she was our nurse.
She was great.
Most amazing woman. And to them just very, very quickly to be told you're having a chemical pregnancy. I was just like, I don't even know what is a chemical pregnancy? Like, I don't understand. Like, I was pregnant, like I was, and they were like, no, you were definitely pregnant, but it's a chemical pregnancy is like losing a pregnancy, like very early on. Like, there's going to be a lot of different factors to why it doesn't stick. But I just remember running out of the clinic and just remember they had like railings around the outside, and just running over to these railings and bending over and just not being able to breathe. It's horrible. Like, I can't just like having your heart carved out of you is horrible.
Something that you've been working towards, and like, it kind of, you put your life on hold. Everything goes on hold when you're going through this journey.
It's so consuming.
It consumes
That's
everything.
The sad thing is thinking back and thinking like how many things we said no to, or things we put on hold, and just things I didn't go to with friends to get to where we were, but then to have what you've always wanted, to have it then taken away from you with no real answer.
That was the hardest thing. Again, you know, every step of this, we've got to like year 3 now in our first round of IVF and our first loss, but we've now gone through all of this for 3 years and think we know a lot more, and then we've been told now at this point where we just lost a baby that we now learn something else, a chemical pregnancy. What the fuck is a chemical pregnancy? Walking out there, not having a clue what that meant 5 minutes ago, now knowing that's what's just happened, but also that we've lost our first pregnancy, which only lasted like weeks, and now we just have to go home.
That's it.
And that's it. And now we have to
Process it.
And then what now? And now you just kind of sat there going, what the fuck now? It is just like, where do we go from here? We both just sat there. We couldn't even like look at each other at moments because we're just like,
No.
I don't know what to do, who to speak to, what to say.
And then we had to tell our family.
That's another thing. So thanks for telling that story, by the way, because I would have.
Knew I should have bought the tissues.
Yeah, no, you said that before. Telling family and friends is something that, again, we didn't realise would have been a mistake.
It's not just painful for us; it's painful for them.
Because they have to go through this grief with us. They went through the joys and the happiness, and then they went through the lows with us.
They've lost a grandchild
because they didn't know. If we hadn't told anyone, it would have been sad for them. Of course, it would have been sad for us. But it's the high and the low. It's that roller coaster of emotion that really is difficult and makes it harder to process. So that's again a really strong lesson we learned. But yeah, that kind of encapsulates the whole.
Well, no, I think to sort of tie it up, because that was in the October, sorry. And then what kind of the next few months were some of the darkest months of my life. So I'm a positive person. I don't say I've ever been down. I've been down, but I think that was my first ever brush with depression. I didn't want to do anything. Not that long before that started my own business, and I was upcycling furniture, and I had my own little studio, and I didn't want to go down to the studio. I didn't want to do anything. I was very I didn't want to do anything with my friends. And she won't mind me mentioning it. I don't have to mention her name, but I remember telling, obviously, when we found out we were pregnant, one of our best friends, because my best friend is married to your best friend. And I remember, now I look back and I know what she was talking about, but I remember her messaging me saying, when's your due date? And that's when I told her that we'd lost them, sorry. And obviously, she was devastated for us, as were all of our friends. But it turns out that she was about to tell me that she was pregnant, and we would have been 3 weeks apart. And that is another conversation in itself. There's different pregnancies from friends or close friends or even family which have been more difficult, and that was definitely one of the more difficult ones, because every time I looked at her throughout her pregnancy, I just thought, I should be 3 weeks ahead of you, and that was incredibly painful. And I definitely felt our friendship was definitely not strained, isn't the right word, but it was hard. It was really hard. And we had a big girl. Every year we do our girls' fake Christmas, and obviously she was there, and I was hosting that year, and that was an unbelievably hard weekend, because just she obviously wanted to be able to talk about it, but she was very, 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 and always has been very mindful of my feelings. But that is just something that friends shouldn't have to go through.
Yeah, completely.
It was fucking horrendous, the end of that year.
Yeah, it was.
Don't clear, cancel, delete.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Well, we needed to talk about that, and you need to be raw with that as well. It's really important that we are completely honest and open about what we went through, and especially you having to go through all the medication and the anaesthetic and all that stuff. And
you have to be the one to watch. It's
as a spectator,
you're very stoic and the best support.
I tried to be, because there's no other way to do it. Otherwise, we'll both just be a mess.
Yeah.
But let's wrap this up because this has been quite a heavy one, and I want to give you a minute. You've just done something pretty brave, so I really appreciate you talking about that like that. But just to recap, year 3 and the IVF journey. If anyone didn't know what IVF is like, that's a snapshot.
It's not for the faint-hearted.
It's
Put
not
it that
for
way.
the faint-hearted. It requires a lot of strength
It does.
within yourself and within your relationship, but also within your community and your circle.
Whether you want to share it or not.
Absolutely.
Totally. It's such a personal thing.
It is a very personal thing.
We've done both.
We've never spoke about this openly like this ever. This is a very, this is foreign to us to talk about this openly, but we think it's important. And again, it's the reason why Illuma's there, and it's the reason why we're doing this podcast. So, yeah, we'll leave that one there unless you want to add anything.
No.
Yeah, that's enough.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks.